So let's see. All right. So I'm here. I'm at Sarasota and doing a flight up to Jacksonville. And you know, I've done a similar flight before. I don't think I've done it from Sarasota to Jacksonville. I was going to do actually a tutorial this morning on not a tutorial, maybe I think it would actually take several tutorials to go through the VNAV on the G1000. You could take it sort of in steps. So in this first one, I'm going to go through some of the basics and then plan the descent into Jacksonville, I think 2 different ways. And then when I tried to do it this morning, I was from Fort Lauderdale to Sarasota, which is where I am, and the flight was just too short. There was just no way to go over everything I needed to go over. And so I thought, I think what I'll do is just do a longer flight. And this isn't that much longer. So, you know, once we get up there, I'll probably have to start talking soon thereafter to go over some of the things. It's not that much. I mean, it's digestible, that's for sure. But yeah, so we'll do that. And what I may do is actually abbreviate this video, shorten up the beginning. But I figured since I'm going to be doing it, and I could have recorded it beforehand, but I want to do a flight. You know, I don't want to be thinking about making a video while I'm, you know, and recording options and all that kind of stuff with GeForce Experience, which is off again, on again for me. So let's see. So that's good. Nav on the strobe on. I was thinking about doing a VATSIM flight, and I was like, do I want to do that? And then they disappeared, so that option was gone. So
Aural warning, okay.
and timer. Starter ignition, oil pressure.
Pause system test. Okay.
Light off. .30 by 30. And cutout. Blast. Very tiny little click spot for me there. Let's see, so come on. Alright, inertial separator. And that's good. Bleeds AC. Back to the checklist. Strobes. Generator, AP, oxygen. altimeter is 29085. And flight plan. And normally I would take a star into Jacksonville. I'm not going to do that. So it's only 2 fixes. Steady. That doesn't look right. No? What is it? Is it an E? C. E. No. Clear. What is it doing? C. What the heck? C. E. D. D. I. To Hillis. Hillis. To K Jacksonville. Oh. No, not Indonesia. No. And KJAX. Alright, so that's our flight plan. So we're all set there. LFE is correct. Altimeter is correct. Pitch yaw. It's not how I left it. Check. Check. The ice system is good. Inertial separator's on. And I'll just check this. And that looks good. Check, 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 check. And return out of here. Taxi light on. Chalks off. So let's see. I believe I've got. Yep, I do. Let's see. We'll go Juliet to Charlie to runway 32. I'm gonna wait to do my run up for when I get down there, but I will do my flaps. And it's not really a run up, it's just checking the governors. This is a nice airport. Little tough on frames. I love to fly in the morning and in the evening. By the time we get down to Jacksonville, it may be dark. It's not that long of a flight. It's about, I'm going to guess, an hour. That. Bring up our flight plan. See, we're on this runway heading is 321, I think, or 320. Oops. I want 3000 on departure. And We'll check runway heading more precisely in just a moment. There's that, and KSRQ ground is 121.9. Swap that in. Tower is 120.1. Actually, like I said, I really don't need ground at this point. What's departure? Tampa, departure, 124.95. There we go. There's that. Alright, so we're on tower. Put the park and brake on for a moment. Idle. Yep.
Tower 671 Whiskey Mike, 2500 with test visual for 317. Put the 1 Mike Tower, sending discretion, run 317 clear line. Okay, descend our discretion and clear lane 317 Whiskey Mike.
Check, check, check. Flaps are set. De-icing system we will set. Flight controls are checked. Trims are checked. Belts, passengers, table, strobe switches on. Cast display is good. Fuel is good. Flight instruments. Was going to check that heading. 319. Good. Check. Altimeter setting is good. And LFE is good. Takeoff distances. Battery charge is good. So return. We are all ready to go. Back there. And we can look out here. Nothing coming. So we are ready. So, lights, icing, flaps are set, transponder, alt, and parking, brake, and toga. Looked away for a second. Alright, just let me sit here for a moment. I'm going to turn the sound down, the engines down a little bit, because I turned it up in the sim. There we go. Alright. Come on. Rotate. Positive rate. And we'll turn right heading 360. Swap the frequency. Flaps up, yaw damper. So this flight takes us up the coast, which is unusual. Okay, keep our speed down here a little bit. And let's do a direct SETI. And climb to say 7,000. Yes. Wind from the right. Guess I should turn nav on, huh? Oh, I'm gonna go ahead and flitch since I've already let the speed get down. And there we go. And there's 5,000. These clouds have been hanging around all day. Some bumps. Wow. Turbulence in those clouds. No, VS up. And we're going 290. Long way up. That's where the view is. lights off. Oh, Fletch right there. Flaps are up, gear is up. Yaw damper is on. Oh, it's pretty. This time of night, it's always pretty. I think the weather gets better as we go north. There's our route right there. So we're basically right up the coast and then we cut over. So that would be Clearwater over there. Took my kids out here to a restaurant out on the right out on the beach. Nice place. I think it goes, you take this road and it goes right here and then you make a right. It's right about there. I think that's where it is. I'll have to do a little coastal tour sometime in some low and slow airplane and see what I can see. 18,000 set. So our approach is going to be into runway 8. We know that. Pretty down there. I think that's Tampa. Yeah, there's the airport right there. What is that? Oh, that's that. I think that's where. That's a football stadium. I hope we have football season again in the fall. Even I rarely watch it. So we just passed 250 and bank came on automatically. I was wondering when that happened. I just saw it come on. So that's half angle of bank. So yeah, it won't get so, your turns won't be so crank and bank. So now I know. Now I've got a 6-knot tailwind. Had a 14-knot headwind earlier. Okay. And here we are. I'm not sure we can go much higher than that. Really pushing it on ITT. We will leave it there. And torque will come up. We'll just have to keep an eye on it for a second. Yeah. Good. We can back it off a little. That looks good. So yeah, let's have a look at our flight plan. Airplane settled down. Oh, but the scenery hasn't. Let's give it a second. Okay. We're back to normal now. Okay, so there's our flight plan. I'm going to go view and cumulative. I see we have 171 miles left. So, VNAV, you know, now that we're on cumulative mode, I can see that we have 169 miles left. We're at flight level 290. Okay, so if I, for a moment, let's just say I was going to do a visual approach into Jacksonville. What I would do is I'd want to be at 1,500 feet no later than, say, 8 miles out from Jacksonville. I mean, I'm going to get some vectors here and there, probably. I have to assume that, but let's just play the game, because really right now all we're doing is playing with estimates. There it is. Okay, so I'm going to put 1,500 feet in here. No, clear that. I'm going to put 1,500 feet in here. No. I can do this. 1,500. There we go. Okay. So that tells me that I don't descend for, wow, 11 minutes. I've got 11 minutes to start be talking. Except I've got less than that, because all they did was get us down to 1,500 at Jacksonville. That's not going to do, because we have to be 1,500 feet at least 8 miles before Jacksonville. There's a way to do that. So let's go back to Jacksonville. And occasionally this won't work. And there's some workaround for it. Sometimes you have two fixes too close to each other and you have to do something a little different. And I've seen one case where it didn't work at all. But in most cases this will work. So we'll know here in just a second. So, okay. See, it's weird. A moment ago when I was here, it didn't have ATK offset. That's a long track offset is what that stands for. Sometimes you'll see that it doesn't show up and then you click off the fix and go back to it and it shows up. But so what I can do with ATK with a long track offset is I can click here. And when I click, it gives me a nautical mile thing and I can go either forward or backward. Clear. Gotta use the inner knob. Click it again. And I can go back, say 8 miles, say make it 9 miles. And that makes us a fix, an artificial fix. And I can go there. Notice we would have been at 3,900 feet there. That doesn't do. So I can change that to 1,500 feet. And now my VNAV says we have to descend in 7 minutes. That's if I want to do a visual approach. So a long track offset. So right there, these soft keys are, I use these quite a bit. All of them. Except for cancel VNAV. Well, these two, I don't use these so much, but I use all three of these all the time. So, so that's a long track offset. So you can, on your flight plan, if I go back to the flight plan, or go here, and let's declutter, and click here. Now you can see I've got this fix, which says Jacksonville -9. And it's right there. So we'll be at 1,500 feet right there. So if I undo the declutter and go here, you can see that that gives me 1,500 feet. Now we're landing runway 8, which is that way. But let's see if I have time to do something else. So let's clear that. Let's delete that. That's how you would do a visual approach. And that would give you a steady descent down to the airport. Now, you're going to get vectors, you're going to get altitude changes and things like that, but at least you know about when you need to descend so that if approaches misses your descent, you can tell him, or he may tell you to descend at pilot's discretion. Well, if you've got VNAV set up like this, you can go ahead and turn on your VNAV, which is here, and set your altitude down to whatever altitude he gives you, and just follow it down, which we'll get to in just a little bit. But we're not using a SID, but we are going to use the ILS to runway 8. Or star, I should have said. Let's close that. Hopefully I won't run out of time here. Okay, Jacksonville. And let's go here. Let's go approach. ILS to 8. Okay, so here it is. So we've got Libby out here as a intermediate fix and initial approach fix. So let's go ahead and do some housekeeping here. 110.7. Swap that in. And we also, for the missed approach, we need Craig VOR, which is 114.5. So there's that. We've got that, and when we need it. So it already says KJAX. That's hard to believe, but it says it. So we need to be at 2,000 feet out here. Okay, so go here, select the approach, ILS to 8, and I'm gonna say DINs. Hardly ever choose vectors. Vectors won't give you fixes that are further out. So let's see what happens when I click enter here. And believe this is 229. So we'll round it up to 230. Enter, enter. Now we're loaded. So there's our approach. I zoomed out instead of in. It does not show, well, does it? Does it show Libby? Yes, it does. There's Libby right there. If you'd have chosen vectors, I'm not sure it would have shown Libby. You can just barely make it out. Something over the top of it too. And there's DINs, which is the final approach fix. Okay, so let's go back here. So we're here. Let's go back to flight plan. Now, so here's the approach. Okay, so we're going to go in at Libby. Okay, and it says 1,900 feet for Libby. And that's correct, at or above 1,900 feet. They're showing a hard 1,900 feet. If the altitude is in blue like this, that means that it's going to respect that altitude. So first thing I'm going to do is, I'm going to delete that. I'm going to clear that out. Clear that out. Okay, so that takes us to Libby. Okay, and I lost my friggin' altitudes. I've never seen that happen, I don't think. Okay, so let's reinitialize that approach. Okay, so don't do that. And we'll go back to DINs again. And we're at 230. Now let's go back to flight plan. Okay, so now they're back. And well, 2000's okay. Thing is, we're not going there. That's why I wanted to get rid of it, because it's going to screw up our VNAV a little bit, and I don't want it in there. So, I'll have to think about that. Yep, I know what to do. Okay, so now we don't have a VNAV profile because this is not part of the flight plan. Anything part of the approach is not part of the flight plan. So you have to do something to get it. So what I could do, for example, is go to here, Jacksonville, and I could put in, let's see if it'll take it, LIBBY, enter. There's Libby, and I could put in, remember the white altitudes are not respected. Come on. Come on. Something is... it's loading scenery again. Florida. Come on. Jacksonville does this to me, or not Jacksonville, but right over here on the coast, it does it to me. Okay, here we're back. Okay, so now I can put in 1900 at Libby. Okay, so now I've got 1900, and I've already got to start descending, because this says time to bottom of descent. So this is a good example here too. It's showing me that I'm going to need to descend at required 1454 feet per minute. Notice how it's going up. But this says bottom of descent. It's important. So I will click VNAV. I'll click VNAV here quickly. Why won't that do that? So let's, scenery. It's right over here on this part of the coast where I get this problem. Okay. Come on. Okay, now it's coming back. So I will start that down, and I'll just stop it at 17,000, say, and hit VNAV. And now notice my caret is way down here. That's not good. I'll hit VNAV direct. Notice now that my caret resets, comes down. I can pull my power and restart down. VNAV direct is the same thing as sort of direct, except it's in the vertical direction. So wherever you are, if it can calculate a VNAV descent for you, it will start your descent. If you click it and you don't start descending, then it couldn't figure out a VNAV path for you. Notice that we got VNAV or VPath in green here and alt cell here at 17,000 feet. So this is a lot of information, I know, in a short amount of time. Another thing, the airplane will only descend to the higher of these two altitudes. So right now it says 17,000 feet, and it also says 1,900 feet for Libby. Okay, remember this is not part of the flight plan yet. So it's for this Libby up here. So it's gonna keep going down. If I lower this altitude, it'll keep going down. If I put this down to 1,500 feet, it'll stop at 1,900 because that's the lowest VNAV that's the lowest altitude between these two. It's the VNAV altitude, and that's what it does. And if you look at our VS requested, it's fixed itself. Now we're back down to a more normal rate of descent, which is between 12 and 13 usually. So that's about right. So I can, if I want, I can up the power a little bit, maybe to about 50. Maybe 60. So to start VNAV, normally you don't have to click VNAV direct. Normally you wait until the time, it'll say time to top of descent, and then it'll say something less than 5 minutes. As long as it's less than 5 minutes, you can click VNAV. And then you set your altitude. You have to do two things. This within 5 minutes, you can set VNAV, and then you set your altitude. When you do that, you'll see VPath in white here, and when it actually activates, it'll go green and slide over here. This is key to keep your eyes on these things, on these statuses. Also, 1 minute prior to the top of descent, there'll be a nice voice that'll tell you, what is it, vertical path. And it's a signal for you to check to make sure your VNAV is active and that your altitude is set. And then when the airplane descends, to pull back your power. Let's fix the heading. Okay, so that's a lot. And everything's a variation on this. I mean, I've really hit on everything that I'd planned on hitting, but I actually had to use it. So ATK offset I showed because a long track offset. When we did the visual approach, that was the way to get the airplane down without using another fix. Another way to do it is obviously you could choose a fix near the airport. So if you brought up a map of the airport, you might find a fix over in that area, and you could put that fix into your flight plan. It might be slightly off your route, but you could put that fix in your flight plan and then descend directly to that fix. But to stay on your route, to stay exactly on your route, then you simply select wherever you want to do the offset from. Like I could do an offset from Libby right now by going up here. Okay. And then I could do a long track offset and then do a minus, oops, wrong dial, this dial, -6 say, and then enter, and there I've got 2 Libby fixes. And that tells us actually what altitude we're going to be at 6 miles prior to Libby. Speaking of which, that's not actually a bad idea because, quite honestly, I don't want to be coming down to Libby and get at Libby at 1900 feet. I want to be at 1900 feet prior to Libby. So what I could do is put 1900 here and watch this here. I'll put 1900 here. It says 1354. I'm going to click that, and now it's adjusted. It says 1468. So it says that we're 1500 feet higher than we need to be, but look at it adjust automatically. VNAV works pretty well in this, and it's pretty, from what I've seen, it's fairly true to what the real G1000 does. I don't have any real world experience with it. It's just honestly me watching videos, a lot of videos. So yeah, so now we're going to get down to 1900 feet, 6 miles prior to Libby, and we'll be level at Libby when we get there, so we can get our flaps out and get ready for the approach. So that's good. A long track offset to do that, and then you can descend early or late by hitting VNAV direct. If you hit it before your VNAV descent point, which is a little white circle that we would have seen had I been faster. I knew this, I worried that this might be too short of a flight, but there would have been a little white circle right here, and the airplane would have automatically gone down if we would have had the VNAV button clicked and an altitude set, a lower altitude set. I'm going to let this thing settle at 1700, 17,000, and then we're going to continue. Notice we're catching up on the descent really well. So set VNAV, set your altitude, then hit VNAV direct, and it'll start its descent. Whether early or late, it'll start its descent. So if a controller tells you descend at pilot's discretion, you could use this to exercise your discretion, or you could let the airplane do it. Either one. Okay, so the airplane is going to stop at 17,000. Because we've got 17,000 here. Notice you heard the warning beep. And so you have to watch your power. Okay. So I'm going to power up a little bit. and say the controller did that to us. We're on VNAV, but the controller stopped at us at 17,000. He said descend and maintain 17,000. Now we can see our vertical deviation happen. Then he clears us down to 10,000. So he can hit VNAV direct, hit VNAV. Well, I guess I need to set my altitude, huh? VNAV, and then VNAV direct, and here comes the cursor. So I guess you got to set your altitude first. And there we go. This works remarkably well with stars as well, with multiple step downs. Sometimes they'll tell you, you know, cleared via the, or descend via the such and such star. And that star may have three, usually not more than 3 step downs. It'll have an altitude, say 15,000, one at 11,000, and then one at 9,000. That's an interesting situation, and I'll find one. All I have to do is think about it a little bit, because blue is a respected altitude. That means VNAV is going to respect it. But what if it's at or above? What do you do? You know, because this is going to make you get down to 1900 by here. But what if it's at or above? You may not want to descend that fast, and there's ways that you can handle that situation. So I'll save that for another video. Because right now I think there's a lot of information in this one. Hi, Max. How we doing? How's our... Let me look at where we are. I hope I didn't miss you. Pretty night. Wow, is that pretty. How are we doing on our descent? This is the caret that tells you whether or not you're still on the VNAV path. Sometimes you'll see it go a little above or a little below. Let's... Okay, so there we are. So here we are. There's our fix before Libby. So we'll be at 1900 by the time we get to that, or when we get to that fix. So 6 miles to get the airplane ready for the approach. And this is a nice approach into runway 8 at Jacksonville. You know, I fly a lot in Florida, and as much as I fly in Florida, it's different every time. I never get bored because there's always something different. Pick a different airport, come at a different airport, or at the same airport from a different direction, do it a different way. There's always different things to see, usually down below, but tonight these clouds are pretty, so I'm okay with that. I guess I missed Max. The chat window, I wish it would make a small chirp or something, let you know somebody said something. Call your attention to it. So, heading bug. And what I'll do, if I'm on a straight shot to Libby here, let me turn my panel lights up. Okay, so my heading bug is synced up. I'll click heading, then I'll come down here and click CDI, and that'll give me a chance to set this to 077. And then I'll click CDI twice and go back to nav. So now I'm there. Interesting point there, and I'll talk about that in the next video. If you you're on the magenta line here. If you come off the magenta line, VNAV gets confused and it will slow your descent. It won't stop it, but it will slow it. So you have to be cognizant. I mean, always be aware of the airplane when you're in VNAV. You know, if he gives you a heading and you're in descent, you know, for one thing, you know your normal descent rate is around 1300 feet per minute. Check that. Otherwise, you'll find yourself high, because if you just click heading, you'll find the airplane not descending as fast as you need it to in order to get down. So be cognizant. If you make a change over here, come back over here. Change over here, come back over here. Take a look. And that's what it did. Oh, now we're at 10,000 feet. And I'm going to go on down to 1900. Now, this says out, so we've already captured 10,000 feet, so I've got to fix this. Okay, so 1900 feet. And I can click VNAV and come back here to the flight plan and click VNAV direct. There's a carrot coming down. So yeah, this whole thing, keeping an eye on this thing. Just like on the Zebo, if you fly the Zebo. You always have to keep an eye on the status indicators at the top. And the vertical deviation indicator on the Zebo. There's the airport right there. Sorry, that's my button. Pretty night. There's Jacksonville. Let's look over there. This is a nice airport. I don't remember what it's called off the top of my head. It's okay. It's also freeware. Well, it actually comes with XPlane. There's another one out here I have not landed at. It's okay, I think. So let's bring up the flight plan again. So let's review real quick. 077 is set. And Libby is the intermediate fix. DINS is the final, so we can intercept anywhere in here outside of a mile outside of DINS. So you need to intercept out there. I'll do what I typically do. Like normally here I would expect to be on a heading. So what you can do in this case is do a VS, and it'll hold whatever descent rate you're currently at, and then I'll click heading. And really, I wanted it to hold the same heading, but that's good. .077 is right about there, which is a little more than 30 degrees. You're supposed to intercept at 30 degrees. So I'll probably turn 10 degrees right and intercept inside of Libby. Let's see, what is the altitude inside of Libby? Yeah, so we're fine. At 1900 feet, we will be fine because that's where the final approach fix. We won't intercept. We'll intercept it. We'll intercept the glide slope right outside of this. I just told my son what's for dinner. I can imagine his face. So it shows that we're on the VNAV path, but we're on VS because that's not V path. If we were getting off of it, we could, like we're just a tad high, I could increase the rate of descent just like I would controlling it manually. "20 knot wind." So just like we were on a vector right now. And what I can do here, since we're on the vector, I can go to flight plan and come down to, no, don't do that. It doesn't do anything anyway. Come down to DINS and we will activate that leg. That way I'm all set up for the approach. I'm on heading mode, so it's not going to turn, but it's activated. And let's make that right turn. Let's say to 050. I have to look at that. That's gonna make, that's a little close. Let's left to 060 or 040. Okay. So I'm going to power back just a bit. And you can see we got down to the altitude about 7 or 8 miles before Libby. And so now the speed's coming back, we can get our flaps out. It works well. Oh, what's your... I do not know how to... I do not know how to pronounce it. Signes? Signes? Is that what that is? Alright, so let's... I'm going to activate the approach. Honestly, I should bring up the frequency for Jacksonville approach. 123.8. And what is... What's Jacksonville Tower? I forgot. 118.3? No, it's not 126.1. 118.3. Okay, we've activated the approach. Got to get our speed down a little bit more. All right, now we can go flaps 1. Approach is active, nav is active. And let me do CDI. Since I've already preset this in, it would have switched over when I get to Libby. I could show you that. It would switch over automatically to localizer. I just like to do it myself. And this is a kind of an important time to look at the full status of what's going on here, especially when you're doing a GPS approach. And I'll show that on another video. Okay, here comes the localizer. Looking good. Okay. Give me the turn. Come on. That's not good. I don't think I've ever seen that happen before. Okay, so I'm going to deselect approach and select approach again. Little high. Click heading. Now it's got it. There's our localizer. What is it doing? Oh, I never re-engaged the autopilot. That's okay. I wanted to fly it manually anyway. We'll get it back on. Gear down. Okay. Now we're going to power back a little bit. C-Genes. C-Genes. I got it. Think of our heading bug. Best approach altitude is 3,000. This is a really well-behaved airplane. I mean, you know, you think, you know, somebody described this airplane as a Ferrari. You could call it that, but I don't think a Ferrari is as well-behaved as the TBM is. It just flies really, really, really well. It's safer in the air than a Cessna 172. It's got a better safety record. Or as good as, anyway. Okay, and we can swap to tower. Okay, final notch of flaps. Keep up with that flight director. Power back, not that much. Right about there. Yeah, this the 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 VNAV stuff I was talking about. You know, I planned a longer flight so I'd have enough time to talk about it. But to be honest, even with the longer flight, I ran out of time, and I ended up having to do a VNAV direct to get us down on a VNAV profile. So it wasn't as straightforward as I would have liked. Not for a first video on VNAV. It works really well though. Okay, visual.
Airspeed.
Yep. Little hop. Not the best landing, but it did the job. It's a beautiful airplane, and honestly, it'll work. That the VNAV will work on pretty much any G1000 airplane you have, except for one I can think of off the top of my head, and that's because VNAV is completely broken in that airplane. But it's very, very unlikely you have that airplane. What a pretty night. Ground is 121.9. And we'll swap that in. And let's see, do I want to go that way? Yes, I think I do. Okay, so lights, icing, flaps up. Hard to believe this is a free airport with a terminal looking that pretty. Pretty, yeah, this is where I want to go. This is Shelter. Oh, one thing about this airport is you got to watch those fuel trucks. They are crazy. Seagenese. So park and brake on, taxi light off, timer going. Okay. Checklist.
American 951 continue to Charlie, Echo, Tower 123.9, a Super 380 at the runway.
And
1239.
enter. Check all this stuff off the transponder. Flaps are up. Strobe switch off. Lights, taxi lights are off. Trims. Okay, so bleed switch off. AC off. Check, check, check. Taxi light is already off. AP trims. Make sure that did go off, yep. Inertial separator. Well, we have to do the throttle yet. So we got about 40 seconds left. And you have to do it, otherwise next time you start the airplane, it will light the engine on fire. I've had that happen. Luckily, it didn't cost me another $2 million. There's 2 minutes. We can kill the timer. Inertial separator is already off. I must not have turned it on. Oxygen off. And park and brake is on. Let's get the chocks in. And I can take the park and brake off. And we can open the door. Stretch our legs. And I've seen real TBM pilots follow slightly different procedures. So there we are. Let's see what Jacksonville looks like at night, huh? Looks like that. Freeware. I didn't see a single airplane. Paid good money. Well, there's one sitting over there, I guess. I was going to say there's a couple. Paid good money for that global traffic. Pretty. This is another thing that Orbix does at night in Florida. You see a lot more of these antennas, and that certainly adds a dimension to the Florida area. I got this the day it came out. That was a done deal. Very thankful that they put that out. Nuclear power plant around here somewhere. Maybe that's it. I don't think so, though. Anyway, that's it. And that's the crash course in VNAV. But it touches all of the soft buttons along the bottom that you care about other than cancel VNAV, which should be obvious what that does. Mostly obvious. and a long track offset. And long track offset is really, really useful. I really, you'll use that a fair amount. So keep that in your toolkit. You know, it will get you down and give you a level segment before you start the approach, so you can set up your flaps and be all ready to go. And then if you're following VNAV while approach control is stepping you down in altitudes, you can reinitiate it using VNAV direct. So set your altitude, click the VNAV button, VNAV direct. Set your altitude, VNAV button, VNAV direct over and over again if you want. Or you can just use VS. You don't have to follow the VNAV. You can just watch the red caret to see where you are in relation to where you should be. If it says you're high, then you might want to increase your rate of descent. Or if it says you might want to increase your rate of descent. You can just follow the red caret. Hope that helps. I'll probably do another one of these, maybe simpler. And I will definitely do one. In fact, what I'll do is I'll do another VNAV on following a star. So I've got to find a star. I don't want to fly into Atlanta, even though they've got that kind of a star. It will follow a star step downs all the way down, and it'll follow approach step downs all the way down. If you ever look at Los Angeles ILS coming in from the east, so landing 26 or 27, there are, I don't know how many step downs. There's got to be 6, 7 of them. And I honestly don't know how somebody could follow all those step downs all the way down. And then, it's a good example, but God, it would be painful to do that. There's some other airport that has the same kind of step downs. It's on the East Coast. I'll have to think about where that was. I'll have to think about it. Okay. Well, thanks for chiming in. I hope this helps. I really appreciate you guys chiming in. If you like the video, click the thumbs up, please, and leave comments. If you got any more questions, if you have any questions, I'll answer them in the comments. I may, like I said, that might guide me on the next VNAV video. And demystify, the whole idea is to demystify the whole G1000. It looks simultaneously like a complex instrument and a simple instrument. And sometimes your mind is saying, this is really easy. And then you run into something and you go, what do I do now? And I remember going through that when I was trying to figure out all the VNAV stuff. And it's much easier, trust me, if you have someone who will explain it to you than if you go, I mean, this thing is not doing what I told it to do. Why isn't it doing it? Well, there's reasons. So, of course, on the other hand, I was armed for the approach and it blew it off right out there at 10 miles. So, yeah, it can happen. Stuff can happen. Got to be ready. Okay, thanks for watching. Have a good night.